Harry by Layla Mann. The kids had a trampoline in the backyard, and once in a while she would go out at twilight and jump on it. It was one of her simplest pleasures. The sound of the rusty springs as she bounced filled her with a longing for naps and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. One night, the kids were in bed, and she made her way outside. It was early spring and just a bit cool, but not cold. A few random leaves had emerged, a pale yellow-green. She had drunk half a bottle of Cabernet and was feeling drunk and stupid, but also exhilarated. She wanted to fly. As she jumped high in the air, the skirt she wore nearly hitting her in the face, she glimpsed through the trees and saw a large figure. She thought that it might be her neighbor Steve, but then it made a low growl type of noise and she froze. It had to be a bear. Her heart was racing. The figure was moving closer to her. Its eyes shone almost orange in the light. She sat down on the trampoline expecting it to pass by her because she didn't think bears wanted to eat people. But then it was walking upright like a man. The next thing she knew, it was on the trampoline staring down at her. It smelled awful, like musty wool and wet leaves. Its dark hair covered its entire large body. She was too frightened to make a sound as it grabbed her arms with a strength no human ever had before. The creature was so heavy that the trampoline was almost touching the ground. She felt her body being pulled and her hair dragged off the trampoline. It threw her over its shoulder and walked back towards the wooded area. Her voice was frozen. She peed on herself and on the creature, which didn't seem to notice. Then it placed her down beneath a tree on a soft bed of brown pine needles. She felt an odd sense of comfort in the smell of the ground. Then, like a dog, it stuck its face into her crotch and sniffed and made a strange snorting sound. An oversized, ape-like hand held her down as it continued to breathe in her cunt odor. The hair or fur or whatever it was tickling her thighs, and her fear was mixed with a strange arousal. It felt coarse, like an animal, but there was something human-like about it. Her entire body was tense, just hoping that it would go away and leave her alone once it figured out she wasn't dinner. There was a long tongue licking her cunt, eating it like a piece of meat. Her body was responding to the stimulation. Her pussy was dripping juice, and it was mixing with its animalic saliva. She thought she could smell her own pussy. Maybe that's what the creature liked. Her smell and her taste. The creature looked into her eyes, snorted again, then grabbed her underwear and ripped them off with one powerful movement. He held her down with his hand, still, while she tried to pull herself up. Her mind was racing as she looked down and saw a massive dark penis headed straight towards her. She wanted to scream. It was the size of a child's arm, and she imagined that it would rip her apart. But it didn't. The creature was gentle as he plunged his big cock into her small hole. Pain shot through her pelvis and into her back the farther he went. "Ah!" she gasped. The pain was mixed with an odd pleasure. He smelled so bad that she just wanted it to be over. But he continued to fuck her. Her body began to respond, and she felt like she might come. As his oversized penis fucked her, she thought about how animals never kiss, and in that moment, she curled her toes and tried to wrap her skinny legs around her furry captor. His cock was tearing her apart, and it felt amazing. With each push, her hips hit into fur, and it tickled. His eyes looked red in the evening light, and she wondered if this is what it felt like to be fucked by the devil. Then she came with a quiet sigh. The creature seemed to sense her pleasure, and he began to let out a strange howl sound into the night, and almost scream. He threw his head back, and then pulled his dick out of her, and leaned over it and started to rub it. She sat up free from his grasp. She looked down at her pussy mixed with blood and the creature's massive amount of cum. As the creature continued to rub and then lick his cock, She hopped up and ran back to her house. Her pussy was throbbing from the pain and pleasure. Blood and jizz ran down her legs. Once she was safe inside her own kitchen, she realized that a Sasquatch, or an extremely hirsute NBA player, had just fucked her.